So welcome back to the mini vlog. This is going to be my review of the classic Mini that I purchased. It's a 91 Mini Cooper. It's been to the John Cooper garage, had some work done there, and yeah, I bought it a few months ago at this point. So if you haven't seen that video, I'm going to leave a link in the description and a little card so you can check that out, see the whole process of how I imported this car from England into the US. But having said that, I've had the car for 2 or 3 months now, and I've driven it a fair amount. Had stalled it right there. Had to work on it a little bit to solve one issue, and I think I can confidently give my review at this point. So first thing, let's talk about looks. Like, this car looks perfect. Looks sporty, classic Mini. It's red, white roof, white mirrors, red stripes on it. It's probably the best color you can get in a Mini. Red, followed closely by green, and then probably maybe black. But yeah, red, that's the way to go with classic Mini. It just stands out, looks great. It's the sportier looking car. It has the wider fenders, and they are painted to match the body color. They're red as well. The car just looks different, unique, fun. It's Mini. That's what everything was designed to look like. It looks exactly the part, and it really stands out especially in modern times with all the modern cars and their gigantic sizes. So yeah, it's definitely a unique looking car. Gets tons of looks, tons of comments. It's in great shape. That really helps a lot. So looks overall, like you can't beat it. This car just looks the part, looks the way it should, looks as fun as it is to drive. And so after looks, let's talk about performance. Well, it is the sportier version of the Mini, but it is also from 1991 and has a tiny inline 4 in it. That's, back in the day they were coming out with 67 horsepower. So it doesn't compare to modern day engines and cars. They are much more performant than this is. However, the performance of this engine matches this car perfectly. And you can feel almost every piston firing in there through your feet and through the floor as it screams up this hill. You can get a more powerful engine and performance by dropping a Honda VTEC in here, and many people have done that, or some other larger engines. But for the size of the car and the way it handles and drives, I think its performance is perfect for this car. I should also mention that working on the car is an experience as well. It's such a small engine, but it's simple enough that you can really work on it and understand what things are doing. It's not covered in tons of plastic like modern engines. And so yeah, I think it's a really great engine to learn to work on. Relatively inexpensive. If something were to go catastrophically wrong, a new one could be provisioned, and parts are okay to come by here in the US. There's a couple of decent sites to use, but it's a fun little engine to work on. It's so small in there too. It's probably the hardest part of working on it is you just don't got a lot of room in that engine bay to work around, but yeah, it's such a blast. But let's talk about what I would change in the car. The cons, I would probably change to the center speedo instrument cluster. This one is really hard to see through the wheel. You got to be really close to the wheel, or maybe up taller to see down through to your gas and RPM, and you can kind of catch a glimpse at them, but they're a little difficult to see. The other thing that I'd change would be the headlights, and I am going to change those. You'll see those in a future video, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. And give the video a thumbs up while you're down there subscribing. But yeah, the headlights, they are older incandescent bulbs, so they need to be swapped out for some LEDs. And I have those, and they're ready to go, and they'll be swapped out really soon in a future video. So those are the 2 things that I would change on this car. Otherwise, I would keep everything the same. I love this interior, love the exterior, the styling, the colors, everything perfect. I should mention the driving position is a little weird. I knew that going into this, that classic Minis, your steering wheel sits to your left a little bit, and it's very upright like a bus, but it really just adds to its characteristic and charm and uniqueness. Makes it really quirky to drive. Let's talk about issues. I've had a few issues with the car, nothing major though. I had a very small cracked hose that connected the map sensor up to the car. So with a hole in there, it was leaking, and the sensor was just getting all sorts of strange readings, and therefore it wasn't running the best. But we took care of that, no problem. The other issue I have is a very slight wiring issue that prevents the radio from working all the time. It is an aftermarket radio, so I'm gonna take that apart, I think, in the spring. I don't need the radio. I'll take it apart in the spring and figure that one out at that point. But yeah, really minor issues. Otherwise, the rest of the car is fully functional, works great. What about handling? How does a classic Mini handle? The handling is a little bit terrifying sometimes for passengers, because they'll get in the car and they've never been in it before, and I'll take a turn at a speed I know I'm comfortable taking it at, and in the car it might be 30 miles an hour, but you feel like you're going 60 miles an hour. You're so low to the ground, it's such a small car. You feel every little bump in the road. The steering wheel is super tight and responsive, so yeah, the handling in this car is what defines a Mini Cooper. Handling of this car is superb. I love it a lot. It feels great. It can be bumpy though. I mean, obviously it's an older car. The suspension, small wheels, these rough northeastern roads are a little tough on it, but it handles as I would expect, as I want it to. It is a blast to drive. But overall, the feeling of owning and driving this car is great. Like, I get up in the morning, and when I have somewhere to drive, I have a really tough time deciding between taking the Classic or the GP. Two really kind of impractical cars to own, but both tons of fun. The driving experience is like nothing I've ever had in any other car. And I've driven a lot of Minis throughout the years, all different kinds, models, makes? No, there's only one make. All different models and trim levels and whatnot. There's only one other Mini that's as fun and enjoyable and terrifying to drive as this Classic Mini, and it's this one. It is my 2021 John Cooper Works GP, and it has all the same characteristics and handling and performance for the car relative to the size and shape of the car. It's just a blast to drive. It's slightly terrifying in a different way. The GP is super powerful. This Classic is super small, low to the ground, very minimal safety features. The doors are only about this thick, so there's not much in there for bracing and protection, but it is super fun and also super terrifying to drive both of these cars. I don't envision myself driving any other ones except for maybe an electric Mini in the future. So I love driving this car so much that I'm actually getting really sad that in the next few days it's going to have to be put away for the winter. It doesn't have to be, but I'm going to put it away for the winter in order to keep it from rusting. We put a lot of salt down on the roads here, and it just eats up cars. So this car and the GP will both be put away in the next few days, and I'll be just down to the Countryman for the next few months. So it's really bittersweet. I'm glad I have it. I'm looking forward to taking care of it all winter, but I'm also really sad that I'm not going to get to drive it a whole bunch until the spring, when the roads start to clear up and salt gets washed away a little bit. Gosh, I gotta be careful. I don't want to hit that car. Those are both my cars. I'd end up having quite a bad day if I crashed both my cars around these turns. So yeah, overall, this car is great. I am so happy with my purchase. I'm looking forward to purchasing another one day in the future. And if you're ever curious about if you should get a Classic Mini, let me answer the question for you. Yes, you should. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Give the video a thumbs up. Leave any questions or comments. Leave any questions or comments you have down below. And when you see other Minis out there, don't forget to wave. Catch you in the next one.